Hi everyone. So welcome to Unit 3. We are going to be going over all kinds of stuff in this unit, right? Make sure you read the associate readings, which include Chapter 3 and Chapter 4. Chapter 3 will take a deeper look at working with objects, which we've already started to work with Chapter 2. And then Chapter 4 is going to go over curves, which is what I'm starting on today, right? And we're going to do something really simple here to get a project working with curves. The book and all the lessons will go into something deeper than what we're going with, which is a good thing. Okay, so the objectives here, right? So we're going to deal with a reference image. So we're going to deal with that, and we're going to work with locking image, working with layers. We're going to use CV curves and tools associated with it to make the wine glass, and it's a pretty simple thing. And the main tool we're going to be using is Revolve tool, right? And then we are going to be building a whole environment, right? Using a type of renderer called Arnold, which has its own lights and materials and such to associate. And at the end, we should have a photorealistic painting, a model, photorealistic model of a wine glass in its own environment, right? Using with the having reflections and refractions and all that good stuff that ray tracing does, right? Ray tracing is rendering how light is affected through an object. And since we're dealing with glass, this is very important, right? So this is what we're going to be working on. So with that said, let's go to Maya, right? And if you need to go ahead and do a new scene. I'll just go ahead and do a new scene anyway, even though this is a new scene. All right, I'm not going to save it. And here's a new scene. We're ready to go, right? I like having the outliner open, which I will be going to often, right? We went over this in the second unit. Okay, and yeah, we'll have all kinds of stuff going on. So the first thing we're going to do is open up a reference image. Okay, now you should download the assets that are in Unit 3, in the module Unit 3. And in those assets would be a picture of a wine glass, as well as some other textures we'll be using for this, right? So I have that downloaded and ready to go. And what I'm going to do is go to View up here, right? I'm going to go to Image Plane. Well, I mean, before I do this, right, I am going to go to the ForeView here, right? And what I'm going to do is hit the front view here and hit the space bar to get to just the front view. Okay, and now what I'm going to do, because we were looking at the front, is I am going to go to Image Plane and import an image. And I am going to go to my Unit 3 assets here. And I'm going to use the wine glass, which right here, I'm going to go ahead and open that. And here is our wine glass, right? We got this thing ready to go, and it's decent looking wine glass. Great, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put this in its own layer, okay? And this is so we don't accidentally put the curve on this layer and mess it up, or I mean, all kinds of things could happen. Plus, it gives us an easy way to turn the layer off and on, right, if we make it its own layer. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to select it, right? So it has this green outline on it. And what we are going to do is we're going to go to the channel box layer editor, right? You may have attribute editor, you may have modeling, I'm not sure what you have going on, but we need the channel box layer editor. Clicking on that should be on this side, right? If you don't have it, I believe you can get it here where we go to Windows, we go to General Editors, and we go to Channel Box, right? That can open it up as well. So with that said, we have the layers down here, and what we can do is we can click this button right here, which if we hover over it, you can see it's create a new layer and assign selected objects. This object is selected, so we hit this, and it becomes its own layer, which is great, right? So we can turn it off and on, and it's its own layer, which is great, right? Now, if we go down here to this guy right here, right? If we switch it to R, this will lock it, right? Where we cannot move this layer at all, right? And this is what we want. This is how we lock the layers, by hitting this with an R, right? We can still turn it off and on, but we're not going to mess with this layer accidentally, which is a good thing, right? It's good to know how to lock layers, is basically what I am teaching you right now. So now let's go ahead and make this wine glass, okay? Now this is pretty simple and easy to do. So what we are going to do is we are going to use curves, particularly we are going to use CV curves. So we can go up to Create right here, and we can go down to Curves, We can go to CV Curves and we click on this, and the CV Curves tool is activated. And basically all we are going to do now is we are going to draw on here, right? We are going to trace this wine glass best that we can using these CV curves. Right? And as we do this, it will start to kind of go along and take the shape of the wine glass. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Because it's all kind of representative of what's going on. As you can see, it's a little big, it's a little small down here. This will all be fine, right? So now we have this up here, but now we have to give it some depth, right? So we can go down here, we can start to give it a little bit of depth. Going on through here, and then we can have more depth as we get down here. Oh, student version, we can go ahead and continue, right? And then, oh, great. That just screwed everything up. So I'm going to go back to the selection tool, select the curve, delete it, and go over this again. Let's go ahead and delete this curve that I did and start once again. So we got the CV curves. It's talking too long. So I'll start right here. And we'll go back up. That's right. This will be better this time. Okay. We are going to go up here and trace it up all the way to the top, and now we'll give it some depth as we start to go down here, and we'll go ahead and give it big depth, and we'll just give it this little divot at the bottom because it's fun, and then we'll start right here again at this Y axis here, right? So if I take this off, this is what our curve looks like, right, as it's drawn. And it looks pretty good, I think, right? So if I go to curves here, this is what we want, and this is good, right? Whoops. Yeah, let's get off of that. Let's do this. And now we have our curved outline, and this will be our wine glass, right? This could be a little smoother, but still it's not so bad, right? What's important is that we get to this line every time. Now, to make this a wine glass, what we are going to do is we're going to have the curve selected over here in the outliner, right? And we are going to go up here to surfaces, and we're going to hit revolve. And if we hit revolve, boom, look at that. We got a wine glass, right? So that if we have this going on here, as you can see, we have, if we go to here anyway, we can look around, and as you can see, we have our wine glass how we want it. It's that easy. All right, now I am going to go ahead and move the wine glass up in here. Right, so we have our space right there. This is the curve, so that's not important anymore. In fact, we could even select that and get rid of that because we have our wine glass all ready to go. Okay, and this is going to be the end of this tutorial on how to make the wine glass and set everything up.